Part 16. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 151. Morning, harem. The emperor's concubines, children, and relatives all gathered in the main hall, waiting for the emperor to come out. Standing beside concubine Xiang were King Wu, Princess Wu, Prince Yongqing, and the family members of the common people who had returned with King Wu. The imperial concubine is the biological mother of King Wu and the old man next to the emperor. Mother and son have not seen each other for many years, and they are not very close. Maybe they are trying to avoid people. On the other side, Prince An and his family accompanied concubine Xian. King An is considered an old son of the emperor, and his children are still young now. Concubine Xian has no abilities and is stable and low-key. She was related to the queen, who had no children, but she treated King An well and stood up for him every step of the way. He is the only prince the queen can give good looks to. Wang Yun died outside a few years ago, and his mother and concubine also died of illness early. The emperor feels a little distressed, maybe he is also relieved. The special recruitment of Princess Yun and his son Yongping County King He and his daughter Yong'an County returned to Beijing, and they were all good for them. King Kang's mother and concubine are no longer here, and he has not had many heirs. Over the years, he has done several things to report to the emperor, and the emperor greatly appreciates them. There was also a conflict with what King An was in charge of, which caused King An's dissatisfaction. There are also several concubines, either only having daughters but no sons, or having nothing at all. There is no need to worry about food and drink, but life is hard. After the emperor reached his 50s, he became less interested in women. In the past few years, no new people have entered the palace. The old one dies, and the new one fails to replace it. So, there are only a few people now. Beside them, there are 3 princesses, the emperor's cousin and brothers and cousins. There are all kinds of people, a lot of people. I don't know what each of them is thinking in their hearts, but outwardly they are all friendly. The emperor is suspicious and ruthless. These people can eat, drink and have fun, and it's no big deal if they get out of the circle. But there are some things that you must be careful about. Otherwise, the end will be tragic. He has killed his son before. The prince was wrapped in thick mink skin and was helped in by the prince's concubine and grandson. As soon as he came in, he bowed to concubine Xiang and said, "Concubine Xiang, concubine's cousin." Although his complexion was not good, his breath was also weak. But the voice is gentle, and the manners are elegant. No one dared to offend the prince because of his physical condition. Even concubine Xiang quickly said, "Prince, please stop being so polite and sit inside quickly." Wu Wang and An Wang also stood up and stood with their hands down, "Second brother." The princes and others were even more respectful and courteous. The princesses are usually flamboyant, but when it comes to the prince, they have to restrain themselves. The prince nodded. He would not lack courtesy, but he would not be too polite either. Go to the very end, next to the emperor's throne. The princess helped him take off his thick mink skin. Taizhen had a thin cloak on his arm and put it on him carefully. Many people looked on with cold eyes, and laughed secretly in their hearts. This family is counting on this sick man, and they don't know how long he can survive. If you can't hold on any longer, opportunities and crises coexist. The prince sat on a chair covered with thick cushions. The grandson treated his father very considerately and told the prince, "Today I am having dinner with the emperor's grandfather. You can only drink some hot water, and you can't touch the tea." The prince looked at him and said mischievously, "Where's the wine?" After saying that, his mouth moved slightly, showing his greed. The princess looked at her husband and son with tenderness. "Ask your grandfather if he allows you to drink it, and your son will pour it for you." "What are you asking me for?" A gentle voice, a little old man walked in from the side hall. Not tall and very thin. The eyebrows are very long, almost covering the upper eyelids. Hands behind his back, he strolled out casually, without any trace of the majesty of the emperor. Behind, followed by the queen dressed in bright yellow. But such a little old man made everyone present stand up immediately. The grandson also hurriedly helped the prince up. He didn't dare to be careless, but with a sly smile on his face, he said, "Grandfather, my father wants to drink," as if he was complaining. The emperor glanced at the prince dissatisfied. The prince smiled but said nothing. The queen smiled and said, "You don't know whether the prince can drink? Grandson, you don't know? Why should you bring up the matter of wooing her and make the emperor anxious? Why bother?" The prince acted as if he had not heard anything. He came up to the emperor and whispered a few words. The emperor didn't know what he said to him. Seeing the father and son, they felt very close. The grandson bowed to the queen and smiled, but said nothing. The crown princess's face turned pale with anger. Of course the queen knew that this was just a joke. In her capacity, what she just said was very low level. But she was going to say it. "I have made it clear that I am dissatisfied with my grandson's closeness in front of the emperor, so I want to suppress you. What can you do to me?" The emperor said to the prince, "Go back to your seat and sit down." The royal heavenly supervisor said, "It is windy today. If you are in good spirits, just sit in the room. If not, just lie down in the next room, or go home and stay. You are not allowed to go outside." The prince didn't want to agree. "Father, there is a football match today. Chi Huan is going to play." He wanted to go and watch, so he begged the emperor in a low voice. "You mean, let me cancel the game," the emperor said slowly. "Father." The emperor snorted and sat down in the main seat. Everyone knelt down to salute and congratulate the emperor on his eternal life. Get up after the ceremony and send congratulatory gifts. The gifts were placed on the table next to them, on the ground. The gift list was handed to the emperor, and he flipped through it casually. "I'm all serious about it, I didn't take it seriously." The prince returned to his seat, and the grandson helped him sit down. The queen sat leisurely on her queen's seat. This queen has a somewhat moody temperament. It seems that he is not afraid of the emperor. She often does things that are unbecoming of a queen. But the strange thing is that as ruthless as the emperor is, he doesn't care about her much. "When you didn't come after all." Because there seems to be an unwritten rule, girls who are engaged but not yet married cannot run around, as others will consider them rude. So MRSG didn't care whether when you went or not. Old MRS Wen and MRS Yun, as well as Wen Huan and Wen Xiao, dressed up properly and boarded the car. Leaving Wen Wan and Wen Su behind, I am filled with envy. At the gate of the palace, there were female officials and guards, and they had to check. Each family can only bring in one servant at most. According to the instructions on the post, when we went to the designated place, as Yun said, the Wen family couldn't get to the front. But wherever she can go, old MRS Wen can take a look. Looking at it carefully, this hall is so big and so high. There are carved beams and painted pillars on the top, hanging colorful palace lanterns, tall doors and windows, thick pillars, and huge carpets. The bronze crane exhales fragrant mist. Oh my God, it is indeed a royal family, so majestic. I don't know where to look, I'm so dizzy. The people present were all women and girls, all of them were jeweled and did not speak loudly. When meeting someone you know well, only make eye contact. So many people, yet so quiet. They are all my sons, let me stand here one day. Old MRS Wen became excited, her pride was beyond words, and her eyes were wet, wipe them quickly. Wen Jiao is normally domineering, but here she behaves like a lamb, with dancing eyes, following her grandmother every step of the way. Wen Huan, on the other hand, was very generous. When he saw an acquaintance, he quietly waved hello with a smile on his face. Mr. Yuan also looked at ease, nodding lightly or whispering to the people around him in a well-mannered manner. Yuanqi secretly observed her mother-in-law and looked down on her. The middle of the hall is paved with a monochromatic carpet. From time to time, a noble lady and a girl dressed up would walk by and go to the hall inside. That aura shows that he is no ordinary person at first glance. Occasionally, when someone walks by, someone will whisper, "This is from the XX family." Old MRS Wen saluted with attention. Wen Jiao suddenly called to the old lady, "Grandma." MRSG, she didn't dare to speak loudly, so she excitedly leaned into the old lady's ear. Old MRS Wen followed Wen Jiao's finger and saw that it was indeed MRSG. Today I was dressed in fine clothes, and without squinting my eyes, I entered the door unhurriedly and walked inside. Yuanqi didn't hear what Wen Jiao said, but seeing her pointing so excitedly, she also looked over and saw that she didn't recognize any of the people in the group. She suddenly understood, the Qi family. The first one is a woman who must be older but looks quite young. He has a smile on his face and is very easygoing. Maybe when you meet an acquaintance, you will smile more deeply at someone or somewhere. There was a person following her, with very fair skin and ordinary appearance. I don't wear much jewelry, but every piece is extraordinary. A little arrogant, but not obtrusive, maybe you're used to it. This is probably MRSG. Yuan pursed her lips, clearly looking picky and difficult to get along with, so why did she fall in love with Wen Yu? If it's because of their appearance, the girls here are all like flowers, so who's missing? The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 152. When the time comes, a female official comes over first and asks everyone to stand facing the palace where the emperor is. A master of ceremonies with a loud voice shouted, "Kneel down." Everyone knelt down with cheers and kowtowed as directed. The ceremony ended without even seeing the emperor's face, which made MRS Wen a little disappointed. The inner hall is a place for ladies to socialize, and they can go outside. But you cannot enter the outside without someone to guide you. Moreover, the inner hall is connected to another hall, where the royal women are located. The queen will also receive some married women. There are ladies and gentlemen here who are good friends and some who are enemies for some reason. Some are wearing masks and remain calm. And some are not so subtle. If you don't accept it, I won't be angry. It's common to have a few words with swords and swords. Tan's family is indistinguishable from any other sect and is good to everyone. Concubine Xiang also asked her to come over and say a few words. Before the queen entered the palace, she had a good relationship with MRSG's family, so she called MRSG over and asked about Tianlong Temple. MRSG spoke vividly, and the queen listened with great interest. When the queen came to call, MRSG went in directly without mentioning that she would take MRSU with her. It makes MRSU angry. She has been very angry these past 2 days. That night at dinner, I saw a red and swollen patch on Chi Wu's face. I was happy to know that it was her husband who had beaten her. He grinned up to his ears and was full of sarcasm. But she didn't know that Chi Xiao was feeling miserable. Chi Wu and MRSG acted calmly as if they had not heard anything. Chi Xiao looked at his mother's expression and thought to himself, even though he beat Lao Wu like this, his mother was not unhappy. It must have been Lao Wu who told her that she had never beaten him. Humph, she had never beaten Lao Wu, so she was not sure how happy she was. My heart was churning uncomfortably. Su was not done yet. He finally became anxious and yelled at MRS Su. Where did Mr. Su go through this? Stunned. As soon as MRS 10 persuaded her, MRS Su ran away crying. Chi Xiao was even more angry, so he simply slept in the next room at night. Su refused to give up and ran over to pester her, but she saw Chi Xiao's injuries. A stage was set up in the square, an orchestral dance with silk and bamboo had already begun. The queen has no children, so she is very keen on this. The artists in the palace are of very high standard, and they are not short of money. The results are really amazing. But days like today have to be well-meaning. The music style is grand and festive. Dances are mostly performed by goddesses scattering flowers, Magu's birthday celebrations, etc. Spectators can dress warmly and stand under the stage. If they are afraid of the cold, they can also go into the shed with a charcoal pot burning inside. The place was full of women, and at most empresses and princesses could be seen. However, none of the young men Yuan thought he could see was there. Then I heard that they were all going to watch polo. After asking again, women can also go, but that place is not close to here. With the exception of the empress and the princesses, no one in the palace could ride in sedans or carriages, and even the princess had to walk. Looking in the direction that people are pointing in the distance, it really gives me a headache. I heard that the princess and the princesses had already left after paying their respects. Yuan told Mrs. Wen the news she had learned and asked if she wanted to go. Old Mrs. Wen was a little hesitant and looked around. There were not many people there, most of them were there to watch the dance. He said, "Wen Huan and Wen Xiao, you two can go if you want. Grandma won't go. It's too far and it's too hard to play ball." When she said this, Wen Huan and Wen Xiao also hesitated. At this moment, the flags were fluttering on the venue and it was very lively. When the emperor was young, he was a good golfer despite his short stature. When he started to seize power, there were still people plotting against him. Once you become the emperor, others will not dare to compete with him or defeat him. Fighting with him will be meaningless. As he got older, as soon as he got on the horse, there would be a group of people surrounding him making a fuss and trying to persuade him, which was even more boring. But he loves to watch. Now sitting in the main seat, his usually unpredictable face is also smiling. Those sitting around were almost all princes, grandsons, ministers, and children of the family. The game hasn't started yet, everyone is shouting, and the atmosphere is quite lively. The emperor looked around, wanting to end it. Today, several teams from the royal family participated in the competition. The emperor gave the number plate casually. The first team is Taizhen's team, he left the field in person today. The second team belongs to Wang An and he will not leave the field. The horses of the An Wangfu team are very good, run fast, often commit fouls, and love to hit people. The third team belongs to Prince Yongping of Prince Yun's mansion, and the second son of the Zhang family is one of the teams. Zhang Er plays with less strength, but his skills are very good. The fourth team is the team of Prince Yongqing of Prince Wu's mansion. One of them is nicknamed Little Eagle. He has an eagle nose, a hawk's eye, long arms and legs, and he plays extremely well. The fifth team is the Ping Guangfu team, and Ping Wang is the emperor's uncle. This team is very old, has a steady style, and has a unique style of play. Team 6 is from Princess Zhenjiang's mansion, and they are actually women, although their skills are not bad, the main thing is that they are eye-catching. Even the emperor often looks at them. There are two other teams formed by the children of aristocratic families. Although they may not be considered motley crews, they often play together. Their methods are not correct, they play tricky, and they also steal moves. Not to be underestimated. The emperor gave an order and the game began. 8 teams, in the first game, the first competition was between the Yongping County Prince and the miscellaneous army. It didn't take long for the Yongping County King's team to win. Next, it was Taizhen's team versus An Wang's team. Taizhen personally came off the field and narrowly won. But one of the players was knocked down and injured. It looked like he couldn't fight anymore. Then it was the miscellaneous army versus the Princess Mansion team. In fact, the level was immediately apparent. But those brats, looking at the playgirl, felt pity for her, and refused to win. The audience went crazy, making noises, stamping their feet, and causing a scene. The emperor also laughed at first, but when he saw that they were lingering, he cursed a few times. And then like lightning, it was over. Taishun was short of manpower and looked for him hurriedly, but none of them met his expectations. So, I went to the stands to look for it myself and saw Chi-Wu at a glance. Chi-Wu, sitting like a beautiful woman, but his chin was bruised and swollen, which was very abrupt. When Taijun saw him, he pointed and laughed, but his eyes were cold. What did this kid do? Chi-Wu. Your Highness, Chi-Wu stood up and saluted. How did you make it? Touch. Can you play ball? Meeting. Want to fight? Good. So Chi-Wu followed Taijun, and everyone around them was looking at them. Over there, the first final game is over. Wangshen, Yongqing County, Prince Wu's mansion. Chi-Wu changed his clothes and came on stage. The emperor saw it, pointed to the side and asked, "That person is?" The inquired back and forth, "Your Majesty, this is Qi Yang, the fifth son of the Qi family." "Hey, he's so good looking, what's going on with his face, is he from the Taijun team?" Back to the emperor, "Someone in Taijun's team was injured just now. We couldn't find a suitable one, so Taijun caught him temporarily in the stands. This kid is out of character, look at Qi Yang's appearance and body, he knows how to play ball. Your Majesty, don't you think about yourself? Even with your small body, you can't fight well?" In the first battle of the second game, Prince Wu's mansion faced off against a mixed army. It took some time, but they won. The next game is Taijun's team versus Yongping County King's team, the team including Zhang Er. Taijun was excited to finally be able to stand side by side with him in front of others. Without looking at Chi-Wu, he said softly, "Zhang Er, do you do it yourself or should I do it?" Chi-Wu said nothing and Ti immediately stepped forward. In the end, Zhang Er was injured. Of course Taijun was really angry when he saw Chi-Wu not moving, so he took action. A bit embarrassed, but not seriously injured. After resting for a while, the emperor was satisfied and made a few knowledgeable comments. In the third game, Prince Yongqing did not leave the field, but replaced him with the one named Little Eagle, and his momentum was different. Then, some naughty people started betting, but basically, the bets of the two teams were evenly matched, and everyone had no preference. This battle should be the most beautiful battle in the whole game. Even though Taijun was not in good shape on weekdays, and his playing posture did not please the emperor, he was quite practical. The entire team, even if Chi-Wu is a new member, is a little bit jerky in cooperating. But the key ball must not be missed. If someone makes a mistake, someone will get it right. During the tugging, the emperor became excited. In the end, the whole place was full, and only Chi-Wu and the one named Xiaoying could be seen. The two of them were fighting fiercely, and they were not polite. "You broke out of me, you hit me, you were ruthless, and I was ruthless," setting off climaxes again and again. Okay, seeing the wonderful part, the emperor couldn't help but stand up. All eyes present were focused on Chi-Wu. Although Kitty is good at fighting, he doesn't look very good. In the end, Chi-Wu narrowly won the game with a heavy blow from his horse, leaning over half of his body. "Okay," the emperor shouted again. On the field, there were thunderous cheers. Chi-Wu became famous in one battle. I'm sorry, my eyes are dazzled. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 153. Chapter 153 Is Wulang married? This is the first time Qi Yang has appeared in front of people since he grew up. It is so shocking. At the end of the game, people from far and near were looking at him. Prince Yongqing thought to himself, no matter which of the two girls on the boat is Wen Yu, standing together with Qi Yang, they both complement each other. I can't help but feel sour and angry. Okay, you can grab this king's people. You grab the ball too. Because I, the king, showed kindness to you before, what do you think of me as the king? When I get the world. Not to mention Miss Wen, even you have to kneel in front of me and serve me in front of me and behind the horse. At that time, we will settle the accounts piece by piece. He has never suffered such a big loss and can't control his emotions. After the emperor handed out the prizes and finished speaking, he asked everyone to go down. He just walked away minding his own business, followed by a few others. The emperor saw it and his eyes became cold. I asked him to go down first, but he walked away. It's really hopeless to be unable to hold on after losing a goal. When King Wu saw this, he was also very dissatisfied. Qi Yang, come here, the emperor called. Taijun and Qi Wu were finally able to stand together in front of others. He was very excited. He was talking to him about the ball just now and making gestures. Qi Wu heard the emperor's call and stepped forward. The emperor looked at it carefully for a long time and sighed, I remember that you had a great uncle who was once called, Qi Yuling with the golden spear. He was so graceful. I was still young at that time, and when he returned to Beijing, he went to see it. It's a pity that he died in the Battle of Wushan and he was still so young. You are one of the younger generations of the Qi family, well, that's pretty good. Look, it looks a lot like him, but it's fairer. Qi Wu didn't know what to say when his appearance was mentioned. His skills are also like those of the Qi family. Why, have you known each other before? The emperor pointed at his grandson and asked. Qi Wu said, when I was a child, my mother sent me out of the capital to go to school. I came back several times and met my grandson. Taijun looked at Qi Wu with a big smile, his appreciation was obvious. Going out to school, where to go to school? I went to the Qin family academy. My mother had hoped that the minister could get a good name. The Qin family school is not bad, your mother is that girl Kui Fenying, right? The laughed beside him, long live my lord, MRSG is no longer a girl. Look, my son is so old. He has an older brother. The emperor laughed, isn't that true? I just remember that that girl is very popular with the queen. She has a little mouth. Maybe she said it? I remember that your father came back a few days ago. Is Qi Yuyi here? The was worried that the emperor would shout, so he had already called Qi Yuyi, who was watching the excitement, to wait below the stage. Qi Xiao was also there. The emperor shouted, and the two men went up to the stage to salute and congratulate their birthday again. Just now, their father and son had seen Qi Yang flying all over the field in the stands. Qi Yuyi sighed secretly, he got such a good opportunity. Qi Xiao couldn't figure out his thoughts. Your son is very handsome, he is also very skilled and well raised. Thank you for the compliment. Have you arranged anything for him? Long live my lord, I just came back and haven't taken care of you yet. Well, let's do this, Qi Yang, if you don't want to take the exam for merit, just report to the Suanji department. Qi Yuyi was shocked. Did the emperor want to use him? Leaving the Qi family. The grandson looked at the emperor with a pleading look, grandfather, grandson. It seemed that he wanted the person. The emperor ignored him at all and was deeply satisfied with his decision. How is it? He asked Qi Wu. Qi Wu knelt down and saluted, thank you for the cultivation. Everything is wonderful and the emperor is very happy. In a blink of an eye, Princess Yong'an from Wang Yun's family and another girl, who seemed to be from Zhenyang family were all under the stage. The two people with four eyes were fixedly looking at this Yushin. Hey, show him a close relative, that's good. So he asked, Qi Wulang, are you engaged? The emperor was thinking in his mind, who should be rewarded for such a good thing? Back to the emperor, I'm engaged. It's settled, with whom? The emperor's plan failed and he was very dissatisfied. His eyes glanced at Taijun. Your Majesty is very wise today. Today, Taijun chose Chiwu, seemingly by chance. But how can there be so many accidents in this world? You might be able to learn a thing or two by hearing about his marriage. As a result, Chiwu said, Hui Wansui is the eldest daughter of Mr. Wen Qinwen, the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Household Affairs, who was born in Zhangzhou. Wen Hube. Deputy Minister, I've never heard of it. What's wrong with being so closely related? The emperor was dissatisfied and asked Qi Yuyi directly. Qi Yuyi smiled appropriately. Qi Wu said, Your Majesty, my mother, met a girl from the Wen family at the 1,000-year Dharma ceremony of Tianlong Temple, so. Qi Wu blushed appropriately. Qi Xiao felt a little guilty when he saw the bruise on his fifth brother's face turning red. This girl Kui Fenying is just fooling around, the emperor was unhappy. But Qi Yuyi was a little surprised when he heard the emperor scolding him like this kind of scolding is not uncommon. Since the queen is gone, is it possible that the emperor is also kind to Kui? Is anyone here? The emperor asked calmly. Of course Wen Qian is here. Just now, the handsome man flew around the field for a while before the news reached him. At that time, I was stunned. I dared to believe that this was my unmarried son-in-law. Listening to the hissing and ha-ha-ha of the people around me, full of envy, jealousy, appreciation, and sourness. He didn't know what to think, he just stared at it for a long time. When they came to call him, he quickly dressed up and waited under the table. Unexpectedly, the emperor really wanted to see him. After calming down, he stepped onto the stage steadily, knelt down, and saluted. His voice was softer than that of most officials, and his initial impression on the emperor was good. Looking again, he is in his 30s, with clear eyebrows and clear eyes, and a long body. Very elegant and elegant. Wen Qian asked briefly about his resume, and Wen Qian answered respectfully. Becoming a jinchi at the age of 20, isn't easy. Moreover, after so many years and traveling many places, he is still a practical person. The impression suddenly improved a lot. Do it well, the emperor nodded. This episode is now in the past. Wen Qian stepped back, his step soft and gentle. This was his first time to meet and talk to the emperor. I feel like there is smoke coming from the ancestral graves, but I have worked hard, and I still get the glory of my daughter. The grandson begged the emperor, but no one came, so he pointed at Qi Wu and said to the emperor, Grandfather, my grandson wants to take Qi Wu to show his father. The emperor glared at him. Grandfather, I feel sorry that my father was unable to come to the football match. My grandson will take the prize you gave him and bring a bright person with him to tell his father about the game and make him happy. Go, go, the emperor waved his hand impatiently. Taijun jumped up and grabbed Qi Wu's sleeve and ran away. Promise, the emperor loves his son, but he doesn't love his grandson, this guy is so shameless. Princess Yong'an and Princess Yongning, their eyes have never left since Qi Wui came on stage. When the emperor called Qi Wu over, he quietly followed him. When he heard Qi Wu say that he was engaged, let alone the discouragement and disappointment in his heart. Watching silently, Qi Wu followed Taijun away. The grandson took Qi Wu and ran to Nuange where the prince was staying. The prince was leaning on the couch, holding a book in his hand and a thin blanket covering his legs. The crown princess is not here. Running outside the door, Taijun stepped lightly and called softly, Father. Come in. Taijun took Qi Wu and walked in. Your Highness the Crown Prince, Qi Wu knelt down on one knee. The prince looked at them with a smile. Father, This is Qi Yang, the fifth son of the Qi family. Just now, my son fought side by side with him and won the ball game." The grandson's eyes were bright. "Qi Yang, get up." Qi Wu stood up and looked at the prince silently. The prince also admired Qi Wu for a while, and then said, "Did this face get hurt just now?" "No, I encountered it when I was stretching with my brother at home." When Taijun heard this, his face turned foul. But the prince smiled and said, "It adds a bit of strength. I see you in such great splendor and high spirits, I'm really envious of you." He knew about his son's relationship with Qi Wu. "But in the palace, you can't say much. Put down the book, reach out your hand, and pull the two of them." Although the prince is thin, his hands are broad and soft. Holding one hand in each hand, although he said nothing, Taijun could understand. Father is worried about himself and wants help from his close friends. Taijun knelt down, and Qi Wu also knelt beside him. Taishun said nothing and nodded. Qi Wu also understood and nodded solemnly. The prince raised his chin and motioned for them to get up. There were footsteps outside, and I heard someone calling at the door. It seemed that the princess was coming. Taijun wiped his eyes and said about the one who was injured, "He was hit straight away. Wang is not bad, he fell to the ground, gritted his teeth and rolled away. Otherwise, if the horse steps on him again, it will be really troublesome." The princess came in. She had already won Xiner, her son had won a great victory, and she had also brought a handsome young man. "Mother concubine, this is Qi Yang, the fifth child of the Qi family." Qi Wu met her. When the crown princess saw Qi Wu, her eyes lit up. She looked up and down for a long time and then said to the crown prince, "Your Highness, people say that people in Mo are like jade, and the young master is unparalleled in the world. When I saw Qi Yang, I really understood. That's where this saying comes from." The prince smiled and said, "Besides, he is not an embroidered pillow. Just now Huaner said that if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be able to win today." "Yes, concubine, my son didn't expect that Wulang could play so well, the emperor's grandfather even praised him for a long time just now." When the crown princess saw Qi Wu, she was making quick calculations in her heart. The Qi family. Such a good appearance. "Wulang, have you ever made an engagement?" The crown princess could no longer hold back her enthusiasm. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 154. Soon, news of the Qi family's fifth son spread. No one in the capital really knew about him, so everyone asked about each other. The atmosphere became uncontrollably lively. When the queen heard about it, she quickly called MRSG in. "Is this your Xiao Wu they are talking about? Return to your majesty, listen, it sounds like Xiao Wu. How come I don't know about such an outstanding person? Mother, Xiao Wu has been going to school outside after returning home, he went out to practice again, he also went back to his hometown with my concubine, and he hasn't spent much time in the capital. That's it, go and see where he is, and bring me here to have a look." "Oh, you got him engaged?" "Yes, when I went to Tianlong Temple, I fell in love with a girl and decided to marry her." "Is the girl here?" "She probably didn't come after all, she is a married woman, so it's not easy to walk around." After MRSG finished speaking, she couldn't help but feel guilty, she had traveled everywhere, but she just didn't come here. What a pity, I don't know what the queen is pity for. Outside, the Tan family was surrounded, and everyone was asking about the Qi family's 5 sons, Yulang. Su Minghui couldn't help but feel embarrassed because many people were asking her. When he was impatient, he was pulled to a corner. It was the relative from her natal family who originally entrusted her to do things. "Why didn't you say anything if it didn't work out? What are you talking about? I didn't agree to it at the time. I just said that I would help you and see." Marriage is the order of the parents. Who has violated it? What is there to say? Mrs. 10 was smiling there. She was friendly and comfortable with this situation. Don't even ask about it. Our fifth son has already decided on someone else. There was a lot of sadness all around. It was decided by the eldest daughter-in-law when she returned to her hometown. I didn't even look at the person. Her eyes were black. I couldn't even say what I wanted to say. Old madam, I don't say it's up to you to decide such a big matter, but how come you still have to control it? You little thing. I don't like hearing this anymore. It's not the parents who decide who gets married. Don't worry about which one you choose. When asked in front of me, just nod and say yes. In this case, it doesn't matter if the palm doesn't have eyes. Don't care about your background, or whether there is anyone better than her. It's really good for the children to be happy. As a result, someone muttered in a low voice, "What kind of things are there in the capital? You have to look for them outside." I heard that MRSG was not happy when Su Minghui came in, and she has been in the cold till now. Humph, Kui Fengying's temperament, who will she obey? Let her find it by herself, otherwise. MRSG, there is no one I can't get along with, she is the only one. Gossip abounds. MRS Wen and MRS Yun also got the news sensitively. The two people looked at each other, and then separated. At this time, the hall was no longer as quiet as before. It was full of gossip, and some people gathered around the Wen family. Old MRS Wen was excited. And Yuanqi, originally, she could control a lot, and now, it's chaos. What to do? Is the old lady's Wen family married to the Qi family? Someone finally asked. Wen Huan, the Miss Wen they are talking about is your sister, someone approached Wen Huan. Wen Jiao suddenly let go of her restraint just now. Seeing that Wen Huan's reaction was half a beat too slow, she took the initiative to talk to her. That's my eldest sister. Wen Huan is my second sister, and I'm the third in line. I remember Wen Huan is the eldest daughter. Yuan Shi saw that the situation was over, and his soul was blessed. Even so, why not take advantage of it? He pulled Wen Huan and said only a few words, "This is an opportunity, don't miss it." So, the smile on Yuan's face was elegant and sincere. You are talking about it? It's my eldest daughter. I have been following my husband in office. This marriage was decided by my mother. Mother loves Wen Yu the most. Old MRS Wen was held in high esteem by the stars. She felt extremely satisfied and spoke with a kind face. My son was appointed a Jinchi by the emperor at the age of 20. For so many years, he has been running around in order to repay the emperor's favor. This eldest daughter, but he didn't care. It was me who held the big one. Although she looks very upright, what suits me best is that she is extremely filial. Although the family didn't need it, she did a lot of work for me. Everyone in the family was cared about by her. During the New Year, festivals, birthdays, etc., I will send her my thoughts. Those who are ingenious and handy, making cakes, embroidering, and painting, are excellent at everything. But he is low-key and steady. He is really a good boy. Sure enough, if the child is good, the life will be good. It is her blessing that Mr. Chi Wu is so outstanding. But it must be said that she deserves it too. Ha! Old MRS when strong energy has come up. If she wants to go higher, she can't lower her posture too low. The lintel of the Chi family is high. My son, a 20-year-old Jinchi, comes from a well-off family, not bad at all. Mr. Chi Wu is beautiful and capable. My granddaughter is also good-looking and has first-class talents. Wen Huan understood what her mother meant, and she spoke softly, I have never seen Mr. Chi Wu. But my eldest sister is very good-looking. Better than you, someone asked. Wen Huan hated it in his heart, but smiled on his face, of course. You will know when you see him later. And his talent is better than mine. We sisters have different emphasis. My sister's paintings are quite good. I came to Beijing first, and my sister is I personally tidied up the yard for her, and my sister really likes it, a picture of deep sisterly love. She praised Wen Yu and also praised herself. It was Wen Jiao's turn to be surprised. Why has she changed? After a while, the queen sent someone to let the Wen family in. Mr. Yuan and Mrs. Wen looked at each other again. Forget about the excitement in my heart. Old Mrs. Wen looked at a few people and only told Wen Xiao, follow the salute and stop talking. Wen Jiao was so nervous that she swallowed several times and spit. Old Mrs. Wen looked anxious. On the surface, she wanted to pull her away, but secretly pinched her. Just do the same thing as my second sister. Wen Huan is nervous too. She had never even met the princess, but now she was about to meet the queen. Happiness came so suddenly that she was not prepared. But when I think about what my mother just said, yes, this is an opportunity. I have to catch. The whole family goes in and kowtows to the ladies. The queen was in a good mood at the moment and looked at several people like monkeys. A group of empresses and princesses were also sizing it up. These people, no matter how much they pretend or how sullen they are obviously nervous. But this is natural, and the queen is not picky about it, no matter what her status is, it's no wonder they are not nervous. The Wen family. That. The female officer next to the queen whispered, when you didn't come. Old Mrs. Wen's voice was weak, in reply to your majesty, when you didn't come today. Oh, in fact, the queen just called them in to see the excitement, and didn't want to say anything to them. What are the names of these two girls? This is the second granddaughter of my wife, Wen Huan. The third one is called Wen Xiao. Well, the surname Wen is really easy to name. If the surname is Zhang, it would be wrong to say Zhang Yu, Zhang Huan, or something like that. I don't know what the queen wants to express. Everyone present laughed. Concubine Kexiang was very unhappy, so her surname was Zhang. However, no one mentioned it for many years. What surname is the foundation? Can it be a surname that sounds good? I don't know why she became the queen. Mrs. Tan was also there. She looked at the Wen family with a smile. 4 people, all dressed in good clothes and jewelry. Moreover, there is no sense of disobedience. I am not dressing up deliberately just to enter the palace. It shows that the family background is not bad. Looking at old Mrs. Wen extending her palm to introduce her family, the hand looked soft and slender. He couldn't help but put it into his sleeves. MRSG said to the Wen family, Mother, I haven't met Mrs. Wen yet. Really? This is interesting. I also want to introduce my in-laws. Mrs. Wen, this is your in-law's grandmother and mother-in-law. Mrs. Yun saluted calmly, MRSG, MRSG. Mrs. Tan smiled and said, we will be a family soon. Let's get closer in the future. Old Mrs. Wen felt that MRSG was approachable and had a very good impression. The queen saw Princess Wu smiling at old Mrs. Wen, and asked, Wang Princess also recognizes her. Mother, I met the Wen family at the Tianlong Temple Dharma ceremony. Is Wen Yu good looking? Back to my wife, Miss Wen Yu is indeed good looking, moreover, she is very tall. Wen Huan is also tall. The queen nodded, it's not low. Indeed, Wen Huan is considered tall among the girls at the scene, and she has a good figure. When Yuan and Wen Huan heard this, they realized that this was Princess Wu. With a sweet smile on her face, Wen Huan curtsied and said, Empress, I haven't grown much in the past 6 months. It seems that I have only grown this tall. The queen looked at Wen Huan's sweet look and liked it in her heart. That's enough, but don't make it longer. Otherwise, if you stand among the girls, a camel will appear among the sheep, which will be boring. Everyone laughed again. When Princess Wu saw Wen Huan being so well behaved and smiling so sweetly, she couldn't help but think of the girl from the He family, a little girl with a small nose, small eyes, and a small mouth, and she was so solemn and dignified. Although Wen Huan's appearance and temperament are not as good as Wen Yu's, her sweetness is still better than hers. During the Chinese New Year, the Wen family would also be invited to visit and let their son have a look. If he is satisfied, settle it quickly and don't have any more accidents. Well, that's the idea. Princess Wu didn't know that there were many people outside who wanted to invite the Wen family to come. There are also many people who are attracted to Wen Huan. Even Wen Xiao, some people want to settle for the next best thing. The Wen family has become the biggest beneficiary of the emperor's 1,000 years. The duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 155. The front door of Wen's house was bustling with activity as people who had gone to the palace returned. When Yu ordered Laba and Ziaji, Laba went to keep an eye on Yuanji, and Ziaji asked for Mrs. Wen's message. Wen Qian and Yuan returned to the house. "Are you tired today?" he asked Yuan in a soft voice, observing her expression secretly. Yuan's expression was not as calm as usual, and her eyes were bright. "It's okay to be tired. However, I really didn't expect to be in such a situation." Sitting there, the girl took off her jewelry. She told her husband what happened today in detail. But she didn't say how she responded to the situation, quickly changed her mind, and made good use of this opportunity. Concealed his hopes for Prince Wu's mansion. Also ignores the influence of Wen Yu, but focuses on describing the response in front of the queen and the maintenance of several important surrounding relationships. "I feel that the road has suddenly opened up a lot. You can imagine that there will be a lot of posts in the past 2 days. I still need to discuss with my husband who to go to and who to invite. You can decide these things. You'll be fine." "You can't say that," Yuan said proudly. "There are many things that we didn't expect. For example, we didn't prepare. It's Chinese New Year and we wanted to treat guests, but we didn't have time to prepare. As time goes by, take your time." "How are you doing there?" Yuan asked. Wen Qian also told what happened when he saw Qi Wu on the field. Somehow, he didn't get the emperor's summons and he didn't feel good about himself. Yuan was a little awkward when she heard Qi Wu, so she didn't hear what her husband was hiding. She was immersed in her own thoughts. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, Wen Qian was called over by Mrs. Wen. Yuan called Wen Huan over. Wen Xiao, on the other hand, was pulled by Mrs. Wu and insisted on letting her talk about the affairs in the palace in detail. As a result, Wen Xiao was impatient. "Mom, we'll talk about it later." She didn't even bother to show off to Wen Wan and Wen Su, and ran directly to Wen Yu's room. "You have been taken advantage of by their mother and daughter," Wen Jiao said angrily. She didn't have the Yuan family and Wen Huan, but she also understood, Wen Huan was much more popular than herself. She took the initiative to attract people's attention and talk to them, but she was no stronger than Wen Huan. "I never knew they were so thick-skinned. One is pretending to be your mother, and the other is acting out the drama of sisterly love. Ugh, disgusting." At that time, she was really angry, but she didn't dare to make trouble on the spot. As Wen Yu listened, his face was a little solemn, but his heart was even more solemn. She didn't expect that Qi Wu's appearance would be so ostentatious and cause such a big stir. Yuan Shi is a master who is willing to give up everything for the sake of profit. As for Wen Huan, her marriage originally made her jealous. And the repeated stimulations these days have aroused her irresistible desire to win. Originally, I was waiting for them to make a mistake on their errand. But through this, if they can gain benefits openly, then I will really make wedding clothes for them. Don't be angry first, talk to me carefully." "Sister, I've been talking for a long time, but you didn't listen." "Listen, third sister, of course I don't want them to get the glory for nothing, but what can I do? Didn't you say last time that Wen Huan wanted to settle the Li family? The Li family was good to begin with, maybe they have a higher vision now and have changed their minds. Yes, that's right, after today, I'm definitely more dissatisfied. Maybe, but if you don't accept it, what can you do? Isn't this simple? When we entered Beijing, the eldest aunt kept looking calm. Wen Huan is very scheming. Maybe she just wanted to find an opportunity to mess up your marriage. But now, because of you, they even summoned the queen to talk. What an honor. So many people are watching. So, they are going to take advantage of you. Otherwise, with Wen Huan's virtue, how could it be possible that the eldest sister is taller and the eldest sister is shorter, and all of them have good things to say about you? Third sister, you are quite smart. You are no worse in appearance than Wen Huan. Why do you think no one seems to be paying attention to you? Oh, I forgot, she has been here for so long, she may know a lot of people. What? Who is your father? My father's official position is not even high enough for the 6th rank. If it weren't for the uncle, none of us would be able to go to the palace when Jiao was really depressed. Same. Third sister, we both have a hard life. You are the second uncle with a low official position, and the second aunt has no official title. As for me, it's the same as not. But your marriage is so wonderful. Sister, in the past, I was young and ignorant. Don't blame me. Can Wen Jiao say such a thing? When you looked at her carefully, Wen Jiao might not be used to expressing herself like this, and her face turned red. It seems that she can lower her head even under the eaves. How can you blame me? Third sister has a straight temper, I already knew it. Yes, I have a straight temper. Alas. Wen Jiao actually sighed, my grandmother used to like me the most, and my mother was the head of the family. She was the first to get everything, even my eldest brother. I always thought, I better than you and Wen Huan. Especially you, I didn't take it seriously at all. I never thought you were so capable. Even my mother suffered a big loss when she faced you. Third sister, the second aunt is not the one who suffered the loss because of me. It was her fault in doing things that made my grandmother and second uncle angry. I know, you see, she has lost a lot of weight recently. Her father and she are always in a bad mood. Your father's official position is not high, and he is divorced from her. When he arrived in the capital, the eldest lady suppressed her easily. So it's hard for her. I heard that the kitchen will be handed over to the second aunt. Take your time. In the future, maybe we'll be fine. Wen Jiao did not answer the words, but thought to herself, sister, I have a bad face, bad words, and I like to criticize others. That mother and daughter are not like me. They pretend on the surface, but secretly it's so cruel. Sister, don't be careless. Third sister, haven't you changed too much, when you felt funny? I'm serious. Although your marriage has been decided, it's probably not that easy to get married. You don't know, today, a Kaiwu young master, even the queen and several empresses, called us and there are a lot of people around. I heard that there are several princesses who are not engaged. They are trying to rob you, and you have no place to hide. Thank you, third sister, for reminding me, I appreciate your kindness. Sister, what do you think I should do? You really want to hear it? Yes. Let nature take its course. What's the meaning? What I mean is that you only take what the Wen family provides you. Don't compare with me, and don't compare with Wen Huan. Grandma loves you, and you can get the glory of my father. Your second uncle has an official position, and your mother there is a dowry. You will definitely get a stable marriage. Wen Jiao disagreed, everything you said is for sure. There's nothing special about it. Then what do you want? Of course I want to move up high, Wen Jiao said, her face turning red again. I can't be too bad if my eldest sister marries into the Qi family. Otherwise, We won't be able to move around in the future, right? Smiled Wen Yu and thought, she still hasn't changed. That's it, then let me help you think about it. In the old lady's room, Wen Qian told his mother everything about today. Also said, his premonition. Old Mrs. Wen was happy and clasped her hands together. Originally, I entered the palace just to open my eyes. But I didn't expect that there would be such a good thing. Good, good, good. Wen Qian thought silently for a while and then said softly, Mother, I didn't tell Mr. 11 about the Emperor's summons. What's the matter? How can she be upset after hearing such a good thing? Not really, it's just that it takes too much effort. Humph. It's about your future, the future of the Wen family. Do you still care about her emotions? Didn't she take advantage of Wen Yu today? Why didn't you look at me in front of me? Although she put me in front, she also you didn't step back. Why are you pretending to be a big-tailed wolf? Mother, my son doesn't want to deal with such things all the time, just know it. The old lady listened and said in her heart, well, you are right to think so. Women, sometimes they are so jealous. The Wen family and the husband's future are not as important as her vanity. In this regard, a wife is comparable to not your mother. Wen Qian smiled and nodded. Mother and child are in harmony. What's even more ridiculous is that she clearly took advantage of it, but she still doesn't admit it. She doesn't acknowledge others' good deeds. Mother, please stop saying this all the time. Mrs. Wen didn't want to make her son unhappy, so she quickly said, Mom knows your abilities. Our family can't give you much support in the officialdom. You left a good impression on the Emperor today, not to mention that the Emperor will think about it in the future. When your colleagues see something good, they will think of you. Wen Qian nodded. Yuan Shi and Wen Huan expressed satisfaction with today's adaptability and the results achieved. Princess Wu was also analyzed, and in the end, the two felt very hopeful. The biggest goal is still the same, to enter Prince Wu's mansion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 156. When Ten returned home, he asked someone to pour him a glass of wine. Drink slowly, thinking about something on your mind. In the past 2 years, she has been keeping an eye on Qi Wu. I feel like what he is doing, but I can't find out or guess what he is doing. I didn't give any news when I got home, so I don't know what I was doing. When asked openly, he looked dead silent. Speaking of Mrs. Kui, it seems, she doesn't seem to know. This time Qi Wu accompanied Kui back to her hometown. She went to that man to recruit him and followed him to make plans, but failed to succeed. She felt that Qi Wu was even more mysterious. This feeling of not having control made her uneasy. Today's matter is even more bizarre. When he officially appeared in the capital, he stood side by side with his grandson, causing a sensation. He was also assigned a position by the emperor. How close are you to the royal family? Before, the Marquis had agreed with her that if she came back, she would give up her throne to her son on the grounds of illness. Qi Yuyi and Qi Xiao already have it in their hands. Even if they are dissatisfied and feel they are at a disadvantage, they still have to swallow it. But Qi Wu has become a variable. If the Qi family is willing to do this kind of thing, the emperor will also look at the Marquis's face. But if someone from the eldest branch of the family objects. Over the years, I have been thinking about it all, and I have only 2 wishes, to give the title to my son, and to leave a lot of family property to Xiao Yun and her children. Although the Marquis has been leaning toward him for so many years, he can't go too far. The family rules are there. Let alone the dowry, when she was a child with the Marquis, she didn't even have any decent clothes. The Marquis married himself against all the opinions. He was afraid that he would look ugly and make the Marquis look down upon him. Also to gain a good reputation outside. She did not reach out for Zhao's dowry. The housekeeper also pursues innocence. As a result, I lived a luxurious life, but my private property was really not much. Ms. Kui has a good face and strong bones, which makes it difficult for her to get up and down. Never get involved in family matters. But this time, she didn't know who gave her the idea. She insisted on going south and went directly to the Marquis to ask for her hometown property. The Marquis was afraid of affecting important matters, so he handed it over. The eldest son and eldest daughter-in-law of the first wife? It will be difficult to get it back. How to do it? He felt cruel in his heart. If it doesn't work, we have to use Chiyiyi. Also, I hope this Wen family daughter can have an embroidered pillow as useful as Sue's. Grandma, listening to the voice, Mrs. Su is here. Ms. Tan frowned and opened her eyebrows again. Minghui? Come in quickly. There is a very exquisite small courtyard in the east of the city. The male host Yang Xiangdong has just returned home. First, I checked it carefully in the study room at the front. Smell it, there is a strong fragrance on the clothes. He quickly changed into another set, then returned to the back. This person is the classmate of Wei Zionjiao's eldest brother, the person Wei Zionjiao and his wife want to go to the future with. Webster's brother asked Song Shang for a sum of money before he agreed to let his sister reconcile with him. Originally, Webster's brother and sister-in-law planned to swallow the money. But later, I saw that she actually hit up Yang Xiangdong. Yang Xiangdong seemed to have true feelings and took action for his sister. This person has great momentum. If he can succeed, it will only benefit his own family. So, with the money given by Song Shang, I bought my sister a small and elegant courtyard in the capital. Wei Zionjiao has a dowry. Song Shang also treated her well in terms of money and lost a lot of money. Living in this courtyard, life is elegant. It's just that it's boring. Because of my embarrassing status, I can't even go out and socialize with others. Let alone the occasion in the palace today. She is very smart, gets along well with Yang Xiangdong, behaves affectionately, talks about a wide range of topics, and does not refuse his gifts. Of course, she gave it to him too. But never took the last step with him. She knows, once a man gets it, he won't cherish it. So, today Yang Xiangdong came, and the two of them chatted, drank tea and played chess. After dawdling for a long time, Yang Xiangdong reluctantly left. Behind the scenes, Yang Xiangdong's wife, Xiao Wang, was talking to a pair of children, full of laughter. Seeing him coming back, Xiao Wang quickly laughed and said, "You're back." "Daddy," a pair of children ran up. "My son is 8 years old and has already started school." The daughter is 5 years old. Yang Xiangdong asked his son, "Have you finished your homework today?" "My son didn't do anything, so he was beeping." His face sank. Mrs. Wang quickly said, "My son usually works very hard. Today is Long Live Lord Qinkaiu, and the Chinese New Year is coming soon, so let him be happy for 2 days." Yang Xiangdong frowned. A loving mother often loses her son. You can't always spoil him like this. Okay, okay. After the new year, let him work hard. "Husband, are you leaving early today?" "Yes, I have something on hand." Wang is not tall and looks ordinary, but her complexion is particularly good. He loves to talk and laugh, but he has no heart. "I saw a lot of excitement today, Chi Wulang. Did you watch it over there?" "I just happened to have something to do, but I didn't see it." "Oh, why didn't you look at me? I still want to hear what you have to say." "You don't know, we didn't see you there, but it was a mess. Everyone is talking about it," my sister said. She started again. Yang Xiangdong knew without having to listen, everything was Sister said. Little Wang is her mother's daughter. Her mother died not long after she was born. Her father remarried, and her eldest sister, the Wang family, was worried that her sister would be mistreated, so she personally took her with her, even to the wedding. De Wang married the eldest son of Mr. Li Ji. Of course, when she got married, her father-in-law was not yet a pavilion elder. She is extremely capable and treats her sister like her own daughter. Yang Xiangdong is the husband-in-law chosen by the Wang family personally for his sister. At that time, Yang Xiangdong was just a poor jinchi with no family background. As an official in Beijing, even if you rent a house, you have to rent the worst house. Married to a young Wang family, life will be full of troubles. The yard where I live now is all the dowry of the little Wang family. Not to mention his official career. 26 years old, several levels higher than his peers and classmates. Every time I get a job, it's a hot job. He will mention it again after the new year comes. Actually, he is very capable. The Li family and the Wang family just gave him a chance. His appointment went smoothly, he made money and soon bought his own yard. But Mr. Wang was unwilling to move no matter what. One is that it is close to Li's house and can be reached with just a few steps. She asks her sister about everything big or small. After not seeing each other for a day, I feel like something is missing. I haven't seen you for 2 days, I feel restless. 3 days without seeing each other, that's impossible. Another one, it's better here than buying it yourself. But she doesn't know that living here makes her look like a soft-boiled man. Thinking of a sister-in-law who has great momentum and speaks the right words. Little Wang looks bad, has no charm, only knows how to eat, drink and have fun, is brainless and happy all day long, and keeps talking about boring topics. Looking at her silly and happy son, she can't even teach her children well. What were you like when you were 8 years old? Although she is sincere to herself. How can I compare with Xiang Yu? The beautiful figure of that person was swaying in front of my eyes. When they were together, it was he who spoke and she who listened. It's not like now, my wife's jokes are still in my ears. I just want to listen to them without replying. When he was in the south, his mind was made up. Very domineering, Wei Xianjiao was asked to follow. But when I came back, I found that it was extremely difficult to solve the problem. Although Xiang Yu didn't mention it, he was anxious. What to do? Go forward, can it be done? Can you get away with it afterwards? But if Xianjiao retreats, what will he do? Moreover, living like this every day, no matter how high you go, what's the point? Oops, why did I write a heartless man again? I counted, there are quite a few. Do I hate men? Although there are many men with bad luck, they are all different. This is considered the Phoenix man. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 157. Today is the day when the future uncle of the Wen family comes to visit. Wen Qian even took a long time to wait at home. He was obviously worried. Wen Feng talked to him but didn't respond much. The door said, Master Qi Wu has arrived. Brother Feng rushed out to greet him. I saw that man, with a maroon horse under his crotch, and wearing a black cloak embroidered with gold thread. Dismounting from the horse at the door, clean and neat, with a sense of coolness. Brother Feng's face was filled with envy and he stepped forward to salute. Qi Wu was accompanied by 2 followers, one of whom was Mubo, and there were 2 cars behind him. Mubo handed over the gift list, and the Wen family's housekeeper nodded and accepted it. The 2 of them entered the house together. Although they had met once, Wen Qian and Qi Wu did not speak in front of the emperor. Looking at him coming in now, he is really a little embarrassed. Qi Yang, I've met Uncle Wen Shi. Master Qi Wen Qian looked at the person in front of him, still doubting in his heart, will this be my son-in-law? Oh, this is my second brother, Wen Yu's second uncle. Second uncle Wen Qiyang and second uncle Wen have met before. Wen Feng was quite happy when he heard this. Yes. I just didn't have time to say more. Sit down quickly. We are going to be a family soon, so don't be polite. It was hot in the room, so Chi Wu took off his cloak and his entourage took it over. He turned around and sat down. His upper body was straight and his hands were placed on his knees, giving him a military air. Wen Qian sighed secretly, I have never seen such a young person in my life. Have you ever taken office because the emperor arranged for you? Wen Qian asked for a topic. Have been there. Do you have to check in every day? I will definitely be there for the 10-day imperial gathering on weekdays. It's not bad, it's the Chinese New Year, so there aren't many things to do. Oh. I heard that you have been studying at the Qin Family Academy for many years. Aren't you going to take the merit test? The emperor has already arranged the matter, so I won't take the exam for now. Maybe I will try again in the future. Then you study literature. Where you are going now, I heard that you need to be able to do some martial arts. During the years when I was studying at the Qin family, Master Wu was always with me. This is both civil and military. I've been studying at the Qin Family Academy for so many years, it's a pity not to take the merit test. I don't know how far you have learned. How about I make my debut? Brother. What are you doing? Mr. Chi Wu comes to visit for the first time. What question do you have? Wen Qian actually had nothing to say, so Wen Feng stopped him and glared at him. Wen Feng asked, Qiyang, every winter, my friends and I go to Zanquan Villa to stay for a few days. Does the Qi family have a hot spring resort near the capital? There is one, but I am not at home all year round, so I have never been there. Oh, what do you do in the capital? Actually, I have only recently lived in the capital for a long time these days. Some friends have invited me to play ball, listen to music in Haoerhe, and so on. If you have any fun in the future, call me my second uncle. Become. Wen Qian glared at Wen Feng again. You are an elder, how can you behave like this when you hang out with younger people? Let's go to the back and meet the old lady. A group of men entered the backyard. The back hall is neatly tidied and decorated with flowers. Old Mrs. Wen had dressed up early in the morning and sat here waiting. No matter what she thought about Wen Yu, she admired Mr. Chi Wu first-rately. Not to mention the wonderful opportunities that have come about because of him. The Yuan family and the Wu family have already begun the handover of the kitchen. Two people were in a corner, talking. Several girls also arrived. Wen Yu refers to the way a woman in a boudoir would dress to entertain guests at home, with clothes and jewelry that are exquisite but a little casual. And Wen Huan, today, is wearing a pink peony shirt and skirt with a white background, which is fresh and delicate, as if she has put on a spring dress. Wen Jiao rolled her eyes and said with a smile, second sister, this is the new spring dress, right? The color is so light. Among us sisters, you are the most eye-catching. Isn't it, eldest sister? She hinted that Wen Huan wanted to steal Wen Yu's limelight. Wen Yu glanced at Wen Huan and nodded calmly, third sister is right. Wen Huan is a bit weird and knows that it is useless to dress up. Moreover, she has been trying to please Wen Yu recently, so she cannot offend her. So it also looks like a daughter in a boudoir. Not stand out, not shabby either. Wen Su rolled her eyes secretly, this Wen Huan is really out of character. The eldest sister's fiancé is here, why are you trying to steal the limelight like this? Can you steal people away? The third sister was right. When I glanced over, I saw her first. Wen Huan was not afraid, and smiled, I wanted to wear it when I went to the palace a few days ago. I was worried that it was too early. But when I went to take a look, many people were wearing it. Third sister, didn't you see it too? Of course I saw it, but it was in the palace. At home. She didn't finish her sentence. Mother Song came in nervously, Come, come. Old lady, Mr. Chi-woo is here. Stop talking. Everyone stand still, old MRS Wen ordered them. The door curtain was raised, and Brother Feng came in first. Grandma, uncle, and father, and Mr. Chi-woo are here. This silly boy grinned widely and looked very happy. Wen Qian came in first, and then his figure flickered. Chi-woo also came in. Everyone's eyes lit up again. Why is and? Because Chi-woo also wore a white gown. The background color of Wen Huan's skirt is exactly the same. It looks like two people dressed like this on purpose. While others had not done anything, Wen Huangxuan's face turned red and everyone panicked. I was excited, happy, and felt like I was being slapped in the face by Wen Yu. This breath came out so happily. Then she looked at Chi-woo with good eyes. Chi-woo's face is no longer swollen or blue, but a little purple. But Mr. Pian Yu has a large piece, but it is not affected. Old MRS Wen, Chi-woo bowed. Then he bowed slightly to MRS Yun and other women. His eyes were straight, and he didn't see Wen Huan, who was dressed the same as him. When he saw Wen Yu standing next to MRS Wen, he looked at her seriously, and then nodded lightly. Wen Yu looked at Chi-woo's face and the clothes that were almost the same as Wen Huan's, and was a little speechless. What did he do? Master Chi-woo. Please sit down quickly, MRS Wen greeted, and then introduced her two daughters-in-law. Yuan she looked at Chi-woo carefully and felt a turmoil in his heart. When she first learned that Wen Yu was engaged to him, she thought, maybe he was a fat and ugly man who took a fancy to Wen Yu's appearance. When he caused a sensation in the palace, although he felt uneasy, he thought, if he is so good, why do you like Wen Yu? Now I know that the name is really not a lie. When the old lady introduced her, she forced a smile and said nothing. Mother Song took the gift list from outside and handed it to MRS Wen. It seems that the gifts outside have been counted. Old MRS Wen looked at them symbolically, the first few, oh. Ginseng and deer antlers, in pairs. Your mother is too petty. Old MRS Wen was not an ignorant person, but she was also a little flattered by the Chi family's attitude. Several men sat down. The old lady then asked, did Mr. Chi-woo's face get injured while playing ball? No, I bumped into it before when I was performing martial arts at home. Have you seen the doctor? It's a minor injury, it'll be fine in a few days. It's not convenient for our two families to move around this year. We've also prepared New Year's gifts at home. Let's go back and ask my eldest grandson, Brother Feng, to send them over. I thought to myself, I need to add more gifts. We can't let the Chi family look down on the Wen family. Thank you. Old MRS Wen, my mother asked me to ask, on the third day of the Lunar New Year, the Kui family, the grandfather's house of the younger generation, would like to invite the old lady to take Miss Wen as a guest. Then on the fifth day of the Lunar New Year, I would also like to invite Miss Wen to the prince's mansion. I'm a guest. I don't know, it's not convenient for you. Chi-woo is very down-to-earth and talks about business matters when he comes up. The grandson made a fuss several times and insisted on seeing Wen Yu. The old lady smiled so hard that she couldn't close her mouth and didn't hear the problem. When he went to the East Palace, he only said, please invite Miss Wen, because that's what the grandson said. This is the Wen family's honor. The third and fifth day of the Lunar New Year, the old lady still pretended to be reserved. Mother said that the Wen family had just arrived in Beijing and there must have been various arrangements. The old lady didn't have to rush to reply immediately if the family couldn't make arrangements. Mother said, she would just come to pick her up in person. The former she refers to MRS Chi, and the latter she refers to Wen Yu. This tone conveys intimacy. But Wen Yu thought in her heart, I wrongly blamed him before. This person really can't turn his head. As Wen Qian and MRS Wen looked at each other, MRS Chi really didn't regard Wen Yu as an outsider. Have you been a little stranger to us? It doesn't matter whether we go or not, is it enough for Wen Yu to go? When MRSG told her son, she certainly didn't expect that he would tell her son the exact story. This is a bit embarrassing. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 158. Old MRS Wen was slightly embarrassed. I thought to myself, normally, a child from a family like Chi Wu would be able to do things in public without leakage. Thinking back to the last time, MRSG unceremoniously kicked her family out of Zanquan Villa. Be strong and straightforward. It seems that Chi Wu followed her. All right. Find steps for yourself, your mother is so thoughtful. The family is really busy. There are guests coming to the door, and relatives and friends coming around. When MRSG said this, I breathed a sigh of relief, because I was afraid that the arrangements were not good. It's so disrespectful on both ends. When you admired her in her heart. Her grandmother was able to advance and retreat, and she was not where she is today. It was not for nothing. You and she looked at her daughter, when Huan looked at Chi Wu in a daze. Oh, why did they both dress like this at the same time? It will be troublesome to arouse my daughter's thoughts. After talking for a while, MRS Wen basically asked and Chi Wu gave a brief answer. Enthusively offered the meal, but Chi Wu declined. He stood up and prepared to leave. Looking at Wen Yu, he hesitated. He looked like he had something to say to Wen Yu. Who is the old lady? Hurrying to the steps, boss, my mother has something to discuss with you. Let you or see Mr. Chi off. Wen Qian didn't know why, but he hesitated. The way Yuan looked at Wen Qian, he thought he was his son-in-law. 2. Such a good son-in-law, shouldn't he put his head on his head? Yuan Qi clearly felt that she was separated from her husband. Wen Feng smiled and said, there are many affairs at home, so don't blame the fifth master Qi. Send off the fifth master Qi quickly. Thereupon, Qi Wu was satisfied and bowed slightly. Wen Yu stepped forward lightly, made a gesture of invitation, and went out first. Watching the two of them go out, Wen Huan felt that his person had been snatched away by Wen Yu. Wen Jiao glanced at her and said deliberately, oh, what the second sister is wearing is such a coincidence. For those who don't know, I would have thought that Mr. Chi Wu is. Wen Su quickly tugged on Wen Jiao's sleeve to stop her from speaking. The old lady's face sank. What nonsense are you talking about? Wen Yu came out and looked at Chi Wu with disgust as he walked. She fainted because of Chi Wu. What happened to her? What's wrong with me? Stretched his arms and looked around at himself, then looked down again. What's wrong? Your clothes look so refreshing, Wen said sourly. She remembered, this man likes to wear white. Chi Wu was very down to earth, my mother sent them here to wear. She said, wear these clothes quickly. When the shop opens, they will make new ones in the shop and take care of their own business. Hearing Wen Yu's words, he burst out laughing, this mother-in-law is so cute, she is going to eat herself up. Chi Wu looked at her smile and was distracted for a moment. She is so beautiful. I heard that you stole the show at the Emperor's Kinkaiu feast. It's just a win, it's not that important. Do you regret getting engaged to me? What's the meaning? You are so popular, I heard that many princesses haven't even been engaged yet. They are not engaged, what does it have to do with me? Chi Wu really didn't know how to turn around. Oh, forget it. They had forgotten how boring he was. Do you have anything to say to me? My mother said that when you go to my maternal home, you may meet my grandmother and sister-in-law, so you should pay attention. Grandma has a good reputation. If something happens to you, others will only say something wrong about you. Sister-in-law, love be strong. Mother said, just do what you want. Wen Yu smiled to herself, this sister-in-law doesn't have a high status in her mother-in-law's heart. Okay, I understand. You and my wife reply, At present, we are just engaged. I met MRSG or my sister-in-law. It was just a courtesy, and we won't have much contact. Good. What did my father say to you, when you was curious? I didn't say anything, he wanted to test my homework. What, when you wondered? That day, in front of Long Live, I saw Mr. Wen, but he didn't speak. You mean, the emperor saw my father? Yes, the emperor asked about my marriage, so he called Mr. Wen here. Mr. Wen said that he was a 20-year-old Jinchi, and he had traveled a lot. When you thought to herself, why didn't my family hear about it? He hid it? Why? This father is selfish, but he is not an incompetent person. The 20-year-old Jinchi has traveled to several places over the years and has outstanding official performance. It is not impossible for him to rise to the top if he attracts the emperor's attention. Think again of the conversation between Yuan and Wen Huan that Laba inquired about. Looks like it's really not good. What's on your mind? The Wen family is not big, so the two of them were talking and walking, and they were already at the front. Nothing. Are you satisfied with where the emperor asked you to go? Very good. Then, if I have something to do with you, why don't I go to the tea house? Be careful and don't let people notice you too much. I see. Besides, Chi Wu hesitated, if you go to the East Palace, what's wrong? My grandson, he has a bit of a weird temperament, but he is a very nice person. If there is anything wrong with him, don't be angry. Are you following the grandson? When you asked in a low voice. Well, it's good for you to know. That's it? King He and Xiaoji were walking 7 or 8 steps behind Wen Yu. Xiaoji accompanied me seriously. As for Qing He, her future was decided at this moment, she would become the woman by his side. At night, Wen Huan lay on the bed and looked at the top of the tent. No, I can't let her marry this man. Even if I fly high with this, I can never let her get married. Qin Lianyu has not gone out these days. The palace was so lively, but their courtyard was very quiet. I originally thought that Zhang Er was coming, but he sent someone to send a message saying that he was injured while playing ball. His mother wouldn't let him go out, so he could only come back in 2 days. Fortunately, it's not boring, because the owner of the yard, Mrs. Liu, came to visit. The two parties met and sat down. Mrs. Liu asked hurriedly, Sister Du, do you remember that my master once said that Mrs. Kui, is your relative? Du Lu was startled and blinked. What do you mean? Qin Lianyu's face was even more pale. But she was white, so no one noticed anything unusual. Du Lu responded quickly and said with a smile, my mother and MRSG's mother are very distant cousins. They are said to be relatives, but in terms of comparison, they are not close. Oh, why didn't she come to the door, then? I have nothing to regret. You, what do you mean? The fifth son of the Qi family, Qian'er, was in the limelight at the Long Live Lord's Kinkai banquet. My father and son were both dumbfounded. Come back and tell someone like me. Then I heard that he had just been engaged not long ago. Originally, I regretted it. You are a relative of MRSG. Why didn't I pass you? You are so close to the water. Ouch, my master sighed and said that he wanted to have such a son-in-law. I can't bear to say that, so I'll gossip with you now. Du Lu quickly looked at his daughter. She was crying. He quickly picked up Mrs. Liu and said, gossip is my favorite. Sister, look, I got some pots of flowers from the flower farmer. I wanted to wait for 2 days to find some more energetic ones to send to you. You just happened to be here. Come, let's chat while watching. She pulled Mrs. Liu and turned to wink at Akin. Mrs. Liu's attention was indeed diverted. These flowers are so nice. I bought some too, but they are not as good as yours. You mean, Mr. Chi Wu is good at playing ball? Isn't it? My master said that he was flying all over the place. The key is to look good. Even the emperor called him over and talked for a long time. He also mentioned that his great uncle had a man named Yushin. He said, Chiwu, you have a bit of that person's style, no. Yulang's reputation has spread. Young Master Chiwu, he once went to school at my house, Dulu knew he couldn't hide it, so he said it himself. Huh, is this true, does it look good? When he was a child, he was like a golden boy when he first went to school. I arranged for his food and accommodation later. When he grew up, I didn't have much chance to see him. Oh, you really missed it? Mrs. Lu muttered. She felt it was inappropriate and quickly stopped. I want to move this pot of flowers, it can match the ones I have over there. Akin went over and wanted to help Qin Lingyu go. But she refused. Wipe her tears, but after wiping the old ones, new ones come out. Girl, don't let anyone see you. Akin was afraid that something might happen, so she asked the lady to punish her, so she begged and pulled her out. Qin Lianyu was very willful, so she tried hard and ignored her. Akin is simply convinced. I really want to take her out and ask, if I had known this, why did I do it in the first place? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 159. When you went to the small courtyard to arrange for Yanzu and the others to celebrate the new year. When I arrived, I saw that Mubo was also there. MRSG and Chiwu arranged for him to deliver New Year's gifts. When you felt a little warm in her heart, this future mother-in-law really has nothing to say. Before, she asked Master Ching to prepare a lot of annual goods. Now, everyone can have a good harvest. The people here are all very skillful. They hung up the lanterns they made, cut the window grills, and pasted couplets. Some of the characters are like dragons and phoenixes, some are delicate and sharp, full of auspicious words. Are these written by Master Ching? When you pointed and asked. Master Ching pointed and said, I wrote the ones in the courtyard. My nephew wrote the ones at the gate. When you was surprised that a person who came from that kind of place could have such a free and arrogant handwriting, I really don't know where these aunt and nephew came from. As soon as I posted it, my neighbors came to ask and beg. If I had known better, I would have asked him to write more and let Li Yuan go out and sell it. When you laughed. That's a good idea. Get some good paper, some good ink, and sprinkle it with gold. At the end of every year, give it to our big customers. Girl, as long as you remember, anyone who spends 5,000 taels or more is considered a big customer. Two people imagine the future. Laughed loudly. When he entered the room, he saw that Lanzhou was also sitting in the room, with his lips pursed and the dimples on his face exposed. In the box next to him, there is his peace and quiet, and the two turtles are still lying motionless. However, one is wearing red and the other is wearing green. It makes people laugh to death just looking at it. Yanzula looked at it warmly, smiled for a while, and then said, this is what Xiao Luer made. It was also made for the round little rabbit and Huan Huangzixi. Ayu, can you take it back later? On the third day of junior high school, I will take you to Kui's house. Then, you can give it to her yourself. Yanzuyi came over and reluctantly hugged Wenyu's shoulders. This is the first New Year's Eve that the two of them have not spent together. Wenyu arranged for Yanzu to take Muling, Chen Wenjia, and Lanzhou back to his uncle's house for the new year. The place where my uncle lives is small, and after 30, I will come back first on the first day of the new year, and then go to my uncle's house with Wenyu on the second day of the new year. On the third day of the lunar month, I took Yanzu to Kui's house. Muling and Chen Wenjia have become best friends. When they heard that they were going to Chen's house, they asked their brother to go with them. Master Ching plans to celebrate the new year with his nephew and keep vigil. Only then did Wen Yu remember the man. I've been busy since I came to the capital, and I didn't even ask him how he was. Master Ching said. Song Wei didn't let him tell how he came out. He told him and went on the road. All the carriages and boats along the way were arranged. He was made into a female patient and went to Beijing without stopping. Mr. Songwu arranged a place to live. We went to Beijing and rented a yard nearby before picking him up. How about letting him live here? There will be a lot of people and there will be someone to take care of him. Master Ching waved his hands repeatedly. This can't be done. No matter what, he has that kind of background. It will be very inconvenient for you, Miss Zuzu, and several other girls. Although you have a good family, but after entering the Marquis mansion, you still don't know what you are facing, but you can't make any mistakes. When you nodded, then his food, accommodation, and the people who serve him are all carefully selected. Raising such a person is nothing to us. We must be careful. If the service is not attentive and something goes wrong, it will be even more troublesome. Don't worry. For him, today's life is as good as honey even if he eats chaffy vegetables. This nephew of mine is exactly like my elder brother, and he is very talented. I have only talked about the things in our shop. He said that he had some good ideas. His identity was not determined, his legs and feet were inconvenient, and he did not go out. Write something all day long and have a leisurely life. When you get married and your shop opens, everything will be settled. He wanted to open a music store and bring in a few students, but he didn't want to eat for nothing. Okay, this is all easy. Let's celebrate the new year well first. This year, Master Ching and Master Yubai are out of the sea of suffering, and they have prepared more incense for their families. It's hard for a girl, I can think of all these things. Master Ching nodded gratefully. When you gave a lot of New Year's money to the janitor's family, as well as the embroiderer and the little girls. The newly bought little girls finally saw what the money in their hands looked like, and they were so happy that they didn't know where to hide it. Before leaving, when you called Mu Bo aside and said to him, "Go to my uncle's house. If the eldest sister-in-law, Ma, makes a fuss, try to knock her out." Mu Bo said nothing and looked at Wen Yu. "What are you looking at me for? Do you know how to do it? Otherwise, I will send Laba over." Mu Bo just doesn't understand why he needs to do this, but it's not that he doesn't know how to do it. He followed Chi Wu, said little, and nodded in agreement. When you warned, remember, use the method so that she doesn't know what happened afterwards. Last time, Ma was dizzy and vomited for 3 days. I don't even have the energy to make a fuss. On the evening of the 30th, the Wen family laid out a large table of food. The kitchen has been handed over to Wu. She has been housekeeping for many years, and this time she is extra careful. You and she, there is nothing wrong with the housekeeper, but her focus is not on the kitchen. So, let's make a difference. This New Year's Eve dinner is full of color, flavor, especially suitable for Wen's family. It's been a while since I tasted the taste of my hometown. Mrs. Wen, her 2 sons and grandson all enjoyed it. Wen Yu smiled and said, "The food in our hometown is still to your liking. Look at what grandma, father, and second uncle are eating. They are all happy on their faces. Thank you for your hard work, second aunt." Although Wu still has lingering hatred for Wen Yu, she also knows that Wen Yu is different from the past. Wen Jiao has been running to Wen Yu's house recently. She couldn't help it, and smiled brightly. "I found a shop that has a lot of food from our hometown. It's just not as fresh as our hometown." Mrs. Wen nodded, "That's great." Looking at her husband, Mrs. Yun saw that she had eaten a lot and frequently toasted to Wen Feng. She didn't know whether it was her husband who had changed or whether she had changed. That heart is slowly cooling down. It looks like it's not hot. Besides, he didn't come to cover it. He was indifferent and only ate a token amount and did not join in the fun with them. Maybe the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are natural enemies. The old lady is getting more and more uncomfortable with Yuan's hunched shoulders and slow and cold demeanor. I actually feel that she is not as good as Wu. It is different from other people's celebrations. Qin Lianyu is ill. She was already weak, and she loved spring and autumn the most. When I arrived in the capital, I was not used to it. Plus being stimulated by Qi Wu and Wen Yu. I couldn't get in touch with Qi Wu no matter what, so I got his letter and it exploded like this. The day before yesterday, she was wearing thin clothes, playing the piano and reminiscing about the past. Crying and playing, it seemed that she had met someone who had betrayed her heart. Finally, she had a fever and lay in bed, unable to get off the ground. Du Lu did not dissuade her, but this daughter looked weak, but extremely willful. Sick, it's New Year's Eve, everything is closed. But Du Lu was so anxious. She knew that her daughter was very timid and was afraid that she would contact Qi Wu, so she told Aki, and the people around her that if she dared to send news to the girl, beat him to death immediately, I don't care whether he is old or not. Sure enough, Qin Lianyu wanted to deliver a letter. However, these letters all fell into Du Liu's hands. When I opened it, I was scared to death. What would be wrong if this fell into the hands of someone else from the Qi family, or Kui Fenying? How can a girl who is usually so smart be so confused now? The envelopes were burned and milled around the house. This mother and daughter have gone through the most difficult year. Webster, a man, sitting in the room with a dark lamp. She drank a lot of wine and recalled the previous spring festival at the Song family. Song Shang would do a lot of tricks every year in order to please his mother. She looked down upon her mother-in-law and was unhappy that her husband was so noisy, so she would let her husband down without showing any signs of it. She thought her mother-in-law and Song Shang couldn't tell. And, to be honest, she didn't care that they saw it at that time. Even, just to let them know that they are unhappy. But now, when she was sitting alone in a happy family, the word regret actually swayed in her mind. No, I don't regret it. Because that is not the life I want. At the Qi family in the evening of the 30s, several children and grandchildren were chatting and laughing with the Tan family. Qi Wu stayed with his mother, Qi Si came, but MRSG didn't want to make things difficult for him, so she sent him to accompany Aunt Lu. Aunt Lu was dissatisfied with the Zhang family's marriage and always complained to Qi Si. But Qi Si has a lot of ideas. She has complaints and has no chance to express them. Today, when I saw him coming, I pulled him and started talking again. In the end, the fuss was very unpleasant, and Qi Si was not in a good temper, so he threw away his hands and went back to the house, which made Aunt Lu cry for a while. You have something to do tomorrow, go back and rest, MRSG said to Qi Wu. My son will accompany you. MRSG patted Qi Wu, fortunately, he was there. Who knows, Qi Wu said, Mother, this is your last lonely New Year's Eve. Next year, even if your son is away for something, you will still have gentle words to accompany you. Ouch, my silly son. You still say things like this. Sure enough, once we got engaged, the person became gentle. Took him with him, his face was full of smiles and he was extremely excited. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 160. Previously, the Wen family received a message from Prince Wu's mansion, inviting the Wen family to go there on the third day of the lunar month. The third day of the Lunar New Year is also the day when the Kui family invites guests. The old lady wants to discuss it with Mr. Yuan. But the Yuan family made it clear without discussion, with the lintels of Prince Wu's mansion and Kui's family, it would be disrespectful to refuse anyone, so we might as well go separately. Wen Yu was raised by her mother. With Yu accompanying her to Kui's house, she feels at ease and behaves better. My daughter-in-law can just take Huan Huan to Prince Wu's mansion. Actually, the old lady basically had the same plan. In Prince Wu's mansion, she was not as good as Yuan when it came to dealing with him. Furthermore, she had to contact Wen Yu personally to see the benefits that Wen Yu's marriage would bring to the Wen family. But before she said anything, Yuan made up her mind and felt awkward again. If this was the Wu family, the old lady would have scolded her as soon as she opened her mouth. And Yuan, she had to give her more dignity, which made her feel aggrieved. But who is the old lady? She is battle-hardened. He nodded and said, your arrangement is very good. If you go to the East Palace on the 6th day of the lunar month, I will take Wen Yu there too. Dong Palace wouldn't let her go, Yuan was so surprised. The always indifferent face lost its expression and looked at the old lady intently. Old Mrs. Wen picked up the teacup calmly and sneered in her heart, fight with me, you are far behind. Yuan, she hated this old woman so much. But he was too embarrassed to go back to make amends, so he left a little embarrassed. The old lady called Wen Yu over and told her about the arrangement. Wen Yu nodded, indicating that she was panicking. If her grandmother was going, she would have a backbone. Just when the old lady felt that this girl was actually quite sensible, Wen Yu said again, she would take Yanzu with her that day. Old Mrs. Wen was angry again. Bring Yanzu? What is Yanzu? The girl is not a girl, the relatives are not relatives, and she has no family background. But before she could say anything, Wen Yu quietly tugged on her sleeve and said, Grandma, there is something that my granddaughter wants to tell you. What's the matter? The old lady said angrily. Grandma, this old lady of the Qi family is a great philanthropist in the circle. She is well known by everyone. But, she is MRSG's stepmother-in-law. You know how good the stepmother is. What did you say? The old lady was angry. Huh, Wen Yu looked like he was speechless, but he didn't explain much, but said seriously, MRSG introduced the situation at home. This is what the granddaughter thought. You are the grandmother, and the granddaughter thought of course I have to tell you. Old Mrs. Wen was very angry and stared at her. Don't be angry, look, this old lady has children and grandchildren. The title and property of the Qi family are all fat. You must know this better than your granddaughter. Hey, you haven't even entered the door yet, and you have a lot to think about. If others hear it, you will never be able to get married in your life. My granddaughter's shrewdness was cultivated by you, isn't it? When did I teach you this? The old lady got angry again. Listen to my granddaughter. I heard that she was born in a humble background. But now she has a noble status. So, my granddaughter doesn't know how to get along with her. I am a little worried that someone like you, who comes from a wealthy family, is if your status is not as good as hers, will she be dissatisfied with you? She is dissatisfied. What can I do if she is dissatisfied? I am from the Song family. I am rich. I also talk like this in the palace. Old Mrs. Wen was very proud. Grandma, why are you so anxious? You see, she is good to you, but my granddaughter is worried that she has ulterior motives. If she looks down on you, her granddaughter will feel uncomfortable. When you, this MRSG has a distinguished status and is your elder. If you talk like this, it will bring trouble to you and the Wen family. Old Mrs. Wen was a little worried. This girl is a stupid and bold girl. How could it be? My granddaughter is so smart and sees things so clearly. How could she cause disaster? My granddaughter knows these things in her heart and can keep her mouth shut. Isn't this what I want to tell you? I'm not going, you go with MRSG. Old Mrs. Wen waved her hand. How can it be done? Having an old man in the family is like a treasure. My granddaughter is counting on your support. When you started to please her again. But I was thinking in my heart, although Mrs. Wen is strong and powerful. However, it is not always possible to understand the twists and turns in the big portal. When I entered Chi's house, my interests conflicted with that of the old lady. It is impossible to be friends with her. It won't do any good if old Mrs. Wen gets mixed up in it, so don't cause any trouble. On the third day of the Lunar New Year, Wen Huan got up early, combed her hair and put on jewelry. I put on makeup again and made my eyebrows straighter. Wear another light snow blue color that Wen Yu likes to wear. Standing at the camera, straightening your back, slightly raising your eyebrows. She is indeed capable, and this time, she actually looks 40% gentle. Coming out, Mr. Yuan looked at it and was very satisfied. Mother and daughter looked at each other and smiled. Arrived at Prince Wu's mansion. Today, Princess Wu only entertains relatives and friends on a small scale, including her natal family. There are not many people here, but they have a good status. Mrs. Yuan met Princess Wu and tactfully explained the reason why her mother did not come. Princess Wu just wanted to see Wen Huan, so of course she didn't care about it, so she introduced everyone present. Everyone just sat and drank tea and talked. Yuan saw that there were several girls of the same age as Wen Huan, and she couldn't help but think in her heart. Do you want to choose? Princess Wu's demeanor is obviously much higher than that of Yuan's family. Furthermore, she was completely impartial to several little girls, regardless of their relationship. Talk the same amount and give the same gifts. Looking the same, she was secretly observing Wen Huan. He was not as sweet as last time, with a bit of coldness, but more like Wen Huan. They are sisters after all. The prince will be satisfied when he sees it. When choosing a concubine for his son and placing people around him, he did not consider her natal family. She is not as ugly as a princess. Not only did the concubine choose her own family, but she also allowed the concubine to show off her power in the back house. Actually, why be in a hurry? The days are long. This world is really coming to our hands. What kind of thing is missing? What are you thinking about? Several girls present were from better backgrounds than Wen Huan. The attention they paid to Chi Wu made them somewhat resistant to the Wen family. He didn't talk to Wen Huan very much, but he talked to her warmly and asked her why she didn't come. Some people said that it was rude for the Wen family to do this. Wen Huan said softly, Mrs. natal family, General Kui's mansion, made a reservation early in the morning to invite the eldest sister to be a guest. That's why the eldest sister was unable to come. This statement does not seem offensive at all. But if you look carefully, before we get married, my mother-in-law's natal family has invited me to be a guest. Who can have this kind of treatment? But why? Yuan Shi is quiet and elegant, and she is meticulous, polite, and considerate when talking to everyone, which is quite in line with the wishes of the noble lady present. The future of the Wen family is also quite promising, so many of them are interested in making friends with them. After talking for a long time, a girl came in and said, Madam, the Crown Prince has returned to the house and wishes you well. Okay, let him in. Yongqing County Prince walked in slowly. His appearance was mediocre, but his demeanor showed that he was not an ordinary official's son. The girls present were a little embarrassed. Wen Huan looked at him, but he was indifferent. Because, there was a tall figure that completely covered him. However, she knew, this shouldn't be the case, so she cheered up. The Prince of Yongqing County has not been here long, and his mother-in-law has already asked him to tell him which girl is Wen Er. His expression was as usual and he glanced twice. I said a few words to the relatives I met again and left. The Yuan family and their daughter felt good during their trip to Prince Wu's mansion, but the new year is here and the prince is getting married. The princess hasn't expressed anything about her today. I wonder when it will become clear. Mother, my daughter is not in such a hurry. After the new year, the spring socializing begins. We have found a way. If we can't do it in Prince Wu's house, there are other houses, so we can always make some plans. You're right. After Princess Wu sent the guests away, she invited the prince again. He asked with a smile, "How is it? Do you like it?" "Mother and concubine, my son didn't like her." Prince Yonking's expression was indifferent. "How could it be? Now I see that she looks very much like Miss Wen. And she is even more well behaved. Why didn't you take your fancy? What is the difference between such a woman who is superficial and those today? Forget it. The son will get married first, and the seat will be empty. Go back and let the son find it by himself. Don't be ridiculous. This is the capital. Know it?" The Prince of Yongqing County is also a little annoyed. He still hasn't found out who the other girl is on the boat. An old friend comes from out of town and wants to eat and drink. The words for Ming'er haven't been written yet.